Yeah, baby.
Hey, everybody, happy holidays and welcome to the Attitude for Gratitude podcast. Tonight, we have got a great show ahead of us. We're going to hear the experience, strength, and hope of Kevin B. And hopefully, he's going to break out the guitar and do a little singing. I know he's going to be singing in the big meeting tonight. And if you've ever been down here on a Friday night, you've heard Kevin B. share or sing. Other than that, this is the Attitude for Gratitude podcast down at Will Work for Recovery, 4026 Washington Avenue North. Feel free to come on down. The doors will be open. Also, on a Friday night after the big meeting, the meeting that goes from 7 to 8, Big O started karaoke, and it's a blast. The few times I've gotten done with the show and they're still going, I hop over there and it's entertaining. It's a great time. Come on down and check it out. I've got the podcast playing on a big screen above the studio. Otherwise, there's a window right here. You can just sit and watch. It's like we're in the Fishbowl Zoo. But that's what the Attitude for Gratitude podcast is. We basically have a guest come on and they share about their experience, strength, and hope and what's been keeping them clean. It is an interactive show. So throughout this show, if there's some questions or something you want my guest to elaborate on or some direction you'd like to hear me talk about or go, post it on the comment section. It is live and interactive. My phone number does scroll across the bottom. You can reach out to me directly. Otherwise, we'll be live on TikTok as well. We're live on YouTube. Just send messages and I'll do my best to get to those questions. Down here, We'll Work for Recovery. It is the nation's largest RCO, which means it's the highest populated recovery community organization that there is. And it's because it is a resource center and because we do have peer recovery specialists and we've got different opportunities and resources. The main thing is the resources. So come on down and get involved. We've got another podcast that takes place on Wednesday nights called Rule 62. And like I said, we got the recovery okie or karaoke. We've got bonfires, ping pong tables, and foosball tables. We have a full gym back here. They're in the midst of opening up a type of shop, thrift store, grab bag type facility. There's just so much stuff happening down here. We'll Work for Recovery. We have structured 6:30 a.m. meetings that take place throughout the week. New meetings starting. We have a new Gambling Anonymous meeting starting on Saturday mornings, I just heard. But there's always more things starting. If you'd like to come down here and start a meeting, reach out to myself, Paul, Carolyn, Will, Gracie. There's many different people who are involved. This is just a little pre-recorded promo. Main thing is this is an interactive show. Share it, like it, subscribe, all them good things. But get involved. If you are struggling, please reach out. Down 988 or reach out to me directly or intergroup, something. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. You guys are watching the promo. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Attitude for Gratitude podcast. I am your host. My name is Tim. And happy holidays. It's the holiday season. Shoopy-doo. Hello. And it is about to go down. I don't know how we're going to promote this, but the thing is you can come on down. They're doing karaoke tonight, and that starts in about the next 20 minutes, as well as this podcast, which, as you can see there's a window right here, which you can't see because I haven't switched camera views yet. And you can come on down and watch us through the window. We got a little TV up there, and you watch it. The audio out there is not the best quite yet. We're working on it. We're just like all of us. We're a work in progress. But we are live on TikTok, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and you can re-listen to the show down the road. That's why I say, hey, share this show if you're able to. Tonight, like I said, we've got Kevin on the show. We are down here at 4026 Washington Avenue North. We have got things happening down here. As you just heard in the 3-minute promotional introduction, we have a Wednesday night podcast that takes place. We have got karaoke on Friday nights. We just started a new Gambling Anonymous meeting that takes place on Saturdays. There's structured 6:30 a.m. meetings. There's a native-based indigenous meeting on Tuesday nights, a Wellbriety meeting. Thursday night meetings, which I was at last night. I slid down here on Christmas, and it was wonderful. Megan runs it's not a typical meeting, and it's more intimate. I think there's 12 of us, but it's just there's so much stuff happening down here. We are an RCO. I did talk about that, and kind of to elaborate is Recovery Community Organization, which means that we are a resource center. Come on down, speak to someone who is involved that will work for recovery if you're in need of any type of resources, whether it's housing, treatment, employment, any clothing, all sorts of stuff, food, whatever you can think of. Come on down here. Closed mouths don't get fed. We work for our recovery down here. It's about a whole change of lifestyle with what we say, what we do, how we act, all that stuff. All right, enough of hearing from me. And we're going to get this show started. I think Jess is going to hop in during the show. We might have one more person join us, but we're going to open up and you'll hear me introduce our first guest, and I'm going to put him on the spot with hopefully hearing some of his music. And then we'll hear his experience, strength, and hope. And then he'll probably close us out with some music. Who knows how the show will go? He might get up and walk out on us. Who knows? All right. So bear with me, TikTok. I'm going to do my best on keeping you guys up to speed too. But yeah, let's get after this. I got the little holiday border, and we're going to switch this camera around to this one up here. So you see where I'm talking about, young fella. Boom, baba, boom, boom. Welcome to the show. Let me unmute you. Get as close for now when you're speaking, just for now, as close as you can real quick. Who are you, young man?
My name is Kevin Belcourt, and I'm a person in long-term recovery.
Welcome to the Attitude for Gratitude podcast, Kevin. So real quick, you're okay playing some, as you see, he's got his guitar. Is your guitar have a name?
I never kiss and tell.
Okay, good enough. So this is someone I've been advertising as a professional musician, which I was made aware tonight that he's not being paid, so he's not professional. Is that your
Money is not the most important thing. I think recovery is the most important thing. And like, I only really have a niche with recovery songs. And so I get my recovery for sharing my recovery with people. And that's why like I've come to Will Work for Recovery, and Paul lets me play every couple weeks. And it's really been like an inspiring thing.
Can I ask you, and get used to this. I'll do my best not to keep interrupting, but you said
you're good.
Paul lets you play. Paul comes to you and says, "Hey, will you play tonight?" Isn't that how it goes?
Paul asked me to play.
Yes.
Paul asked me to play.
So
Paul,
you're humble, and you're like, he allows you to play. They want you, like, you see where I'm going with, like.
I mean, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I am not everyone's cup of tea. And like, I've had to realize that, like, in my own recovery, is that like the biggest thing about everything is about being who you are and being okay with that. You have an opportunity to figure out who you are, and like, you might not get it right away, but keep on trying, because eventually you will figure out who you are, and you get to live in that authenticity. So I'll open with this song. This song is 20 years old, and I wasn't in recovery when I wrote it, but it screams out recovery, and it's probably the reason that I'm in recovery today, as I can recognize that. You know?
Welcome to the show, Jess. You got here just in time. You can close the door.
Oh.
Kevin was just explaining this is a song that you wrote 20 years ago.
It's a 20 years in progress, because I've like changed it a little bit, but like the actual idea of the Crystal City came from the fact that, you know, I'm from Juneau, Alaska, and it is all granite up there, and there's a lot of people that are really into crystals, and I was a huge crystal meth addict when I first started my addiction. And so like I used to sing it in a way where people didn't know if I was talking about the crystals, the city, the craziness, the greed with it. You know, I had lost my first $100,000 when I was 19 years old, and was crying in the street. I think I was like half naked, crying in the street in the rain. When, you know, instead of like totally losing it, I like figured out how to transition that into something that kept me going. And so, yeah, this is the Crystal City. I played it here many times, and it kind of means a lot to me because it's mine.
Yep.
Heart and soul in a crystal city. Life gets told in a crystal city. My mind folds in the crystal city of life. There was a lost piece in my life's puzzle. Falling down, I found it on the floor. Pick me up before I call, 'cause I'm not ready to come home. And I thought I had direction. Got lost in the storm of lies I believe were all true. Before I ever even had a clue, was walking this dark life on the darkest nights. Seen my shadows in no light, but a diamond gleam sparkled in her eyes, and the greed will carry me back to life. Follow me down and find yourself in the coldness of the crystal city where I had a dream, in the crystal city where I learned about life. But I found the truth from all the lies of a blessing in disguise. I poured my heart out in the crystal city of life. Burning bridges to my common sense, am I crashing with the change? Over an endless river of a dollar spent, and I said, where is my change? I found your change, and the time is now. Are you rolling with me? You can start with yourself. We can change the world. We figured it out. Shout it out. Dollars and cents. That don't make no sense without common sense to make a change. But I'll break it down and I'll run it around, and you think you've got it down. But you're not the only one coming down. With the end, Looney are getting high. Money, some reflections, and a dime and die. It's a change in your cup of common sense. And in the end, your dollars are so spent.
That was beautiful. Yeah, baby. That was our Kevin. So that was beautiful, bro. Let's just start this off. How has music helped you in your recovery? Has it at all? Does it play a part in your recovery? And then we're going to get into your story.
I mean, you do know that music stimulates the chemicals that we're looking for.
Let's pretend I'm a mint and I don't have a clue. Explain.
So nothing will ever compare to a shot of meth, but the same chemicals, the same
endorphins
and dopamine and all that stuff comes out. And music is a huge part of my life. Like, I'm not going to lie. If I can get that good kick, that's a healthy kick from Taylor Swift, and that's what's doing it for me today, I'm going to do it. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan, but I will listen to polka if it makes me feel like, in a healthy way, and that doesn't come right away. That's another really interesting thing, is that I love, I didn't show anyone that I played music until not that long ago.
Try get a little closer to your mic. Sorry, bud.
I was, let's see, I'm 44 years old, and since I was 9 years old, I've been a pretty bad addict, as in, like, by the time I was 12, we had asked a realtor down the street what those tomato lights on his boat were for, and that we needed to get hooked up with what he's got. And so we showed up to, like, middle school, high school with the $200 ounces in the land, where, and so, like, my hustle went hard. My best friends became heroin dealers when I was 14. So I got to witness the first murder really early on, and knew how bad heroin was. And even though I knew that at 26, I still would say that heroin was my passion for quite a while, and I thought that drugs helped me with music, or made me who I was, because, like, we felt more comfortable when we were on drugs. But today, after, like, all this work, I just came from the meeting I tried to speak well in the meeting. My number
Oh,
was called.
the one time I was in there, just to interrupt again, is you shared about this change, this whole change of lifestyle, picking up after yourself. Like, it was a very poignant share, and it touched on some really important things, and I'm grateful for your share. But keep her going.
You know, being able to go from that to like performing. This is the only place I really perform at. Like, I do enjoy it when people enjoy. And I have performed a lot of the stuff that I've been working on for a long time here. And I also am working on some stuff that I'd like to bring, because like, it's not about money for me, and it never was. It's not about fame. It never was. I never really thought I was that good of a musician. I at least know this. And I told my mom this a long time ago. It's like, I promised her this. I said, I will not follow this like it's a career, even though I do have like over 200 produced rap tracks that I did while I was on the streets. I'll play you guys a song at the end here that I made while I lived in a shopping cart in a tarp, which is pretty, innovative for a person who's like got like a microphone splitter, a cell phone, headphones, and a podcast microphone on the streets of Portland, Oregon. And I was out there. I was just looking back recently at like how bad it is out there, because there's this guy playing these drone footage of the campsites that I was living in. And, like, people are shooting each other, and there's like needles all over the road. The cops come through 2 times a week to exchange your needles, to pick up your garbage, and to like.
The cops do that?
The cops come through to make sure the city comes through, because if they don't, it'll get like way out of control. It's just a huge mess, and they don't know what to do with it. And like, when I first got here, I was like, this is the most beautiful city I've ever seen. Like, I'm in the promised land. Not only am I in the promised land, but we are in the birthplace of like real addiction medicine, and the birthplace of recovery. And there's this is a, oh man, and I don't say this lightly. I had a cultural crisis. I'm from Alaska, and I am Chippewa Cree. I was born in Havre, Montana. So I grew up with everyone just assuming that I was Tlingit or Shimshan, and no one ever asked what kind of native I was.
Is that the real common one?
There's no common one.
There?
So Minnesota is 6.9%. I think it's 6.9% population native, and Alaska is 17.9% of the population native. So when you talk about, I'll say indigenous. I am about to get my, they call it Native American certificate in college. And, out of respect, it's complicated, because I am also, my mom was born in Panama. And so like, I'm definitely a cultural crisis. Most people take one look at me and they know I'm something,
You are something.
But, I come out here and my last name's Belcourt. And I didn't know this, because we're the only people in Alaska that are Belcourts, and I didn't know anything of it, So I come out here after years of maybe lying about everything about who I was. And honestly, let's be real for a second. I was pretty extremely bad for a lot of years. I was a thief. I was a liar. I got my stuff together. I went to jail. I did 8 years. And I also became quite a motivated dealer at some point, and I also have fallen to the bottom from that. And that's like really another really interesting thing to say, is that like in all of this, coming out here and realizing that there's a Belcourt, South Dakota, I think it is, maybe it's North Dakota, but I have 45 cousins in Montana that I've never met, that are
really
mostly criminals, and some in recovery, and some that are dead. And my dad had 13 brothers and sisters, and we never knew them. And he carried a lot of the traits of the reservation, and I didn't really recognize that until recently. Like, I had to come out, like the first time I'd really understood what the reservation was, we watched Smoke Signals, and my mom was like, yeah.
What does that mean? You watch Smoke Signals?
Smoke Signals is this show. It's in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and one of the poor, and people have been pushed to the reservations, and there's a lot of deep-rooted problems. There's been a lot of like abuse and neglect, and that abuse and neglect happened from colonialism, and now it's been taught, and it's the same in Alaska. It's been taught to people, and so there's like a high percentage of abuse that happens in those kind of places. And so I was like actually taken to the promised land, like, you know, to be real for a second, through like a series of whatever. When I was 4 years old, we went to California where both my parents are from LA. And we went there and they said, no way, we're not doing this. And we went to Alaska. My uncle had a mansion up there and a business, and he wasn't there all year round. So we kind of jumped ship and ended up there. But like Alaska is the promised land. When I say coming out here and hearing a lot of people, like, I wasn't taught about generational trauma. I didn't know that, you know, I didn't even hear that word really a whole lot. Like, it didn't really occur to me. So, you know, a lot of people have money and have opportunity. And even as a felon, and have been a felon since 2007, I definitely will say that I'm always looking for an open door, and I'm walking past closed doors, because like they, you know, this is a real thing to say to people in recovery, is that there's a lot of closed doors, but like you just keep walking and doors will open for you. You know, you keep looking for the next right thing. You kept doing what the next right thing is. And like every opportunity you could ever imagine is there. And I hate to say it, sound all cliche, but and we say this is like not really how it should be, but man, it'll be there in a meeting. If you know, and Tim knows this, that I'm a pretty hardcore AA guy for a bad heroin addict. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I have been in the bottom of a Russian vodka that cost $8 that I bought at Sam's Club, and thought that I was totally fine. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally fine. Like nobody could have told me nothing. I was like, I'm not. But you know, it's more than just being all these things. You know, like this work that has happened has come from a culmination of stuff. Like, I'm in my 7th semester of higher education. I not only am about to graduate with, and I had to pivot just a little bit due to like some things that are going on, but I started out my journey trying to get my addiction counseling degree, which is the licensed alcohol and drug counselor, which at the end of this school would be an ADTC, which is a temporary license, which would allow me to work. And I'm actually have done 100%. When I say 100%, I have done 100% in that part of the program. Like, I have A++++. They asked me to be a tutor. And I've pivoted a little bit to, like, you know, figure out what I'm doing, because you know, all that comes with background studies. And I don't have any violent crimes, but I have a lot of drug dealing crimes, and they're far away. And for some reason, DHS is taking their time. It's been 2 years.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm not afraid of the set aside. Like, say no, right. Say yes, yeah. Whatever.
But let's get it going. Yeah.
But to say no is kind of like me realizing what it's like to go out on discretionary parole. They want to hear who you are, or you know, that you take accountability for what you've done. You know, they don't want to hear you. They don't want to. It's just like, just if you've ever been on discretionary parole, and I know that not everybody's going to understand this. One of the things of talking your way out of discretionary parole is that they want you to hear. They want to hear accountability for what you did. They want you to know, this was my part in what I did, and I know that. And then they want you to, like, you know, put forward, and this is what I'm doing now to be a different person than I was, you know. And they have some interesting questions in there too, like what you know, the big questions that they look after that are like, what are you like, what, you know. And so and there's good reason for that. It's really their only way of like filtering out how to separate like people that might be dangerous when working with vulnerable adults or whatever. So, but in all of this, I'm coming up with an Associates of Liberal Arts, which basically is a general's degree. And then I'll have that after one more class, and 2 more classes in Native American Studies, which I know that they're going to change the name of that soon.
To like Indigenous People Studies or what?
You know, that's another complicated thing.
I just had the Just Hope boys on, and
it becomes complicated because everyone has a different opinion when it comes to what, you know, like who decides these things. Usually are like white. And I have no hate. I have no hate for,
I have a lot of hate
for white. Like, I want to say this too. When I say this, it's so important for me to recognize that all the pain and suffering that has happened didn't happen by anyone that's alive today. And for me to carry a resentment against things that are just relatives of people that may still have some, and I don't like to use the word racism because I've learned something in school. It's all discrimination, you know, and even more than that, like we complain that we've been discriminated against. It's like somebody else has been discriminated even worse. And real truth, women have been discriminated against since the beginning of time. And, you know, it's like something that's real interesting. I just learned all this stuff. Like I couldn't have told you much about much, except for today I know that just, you know, I've been discriminated against in a lot of ways. You know, this is
as an addict, period.
as
felon,
a person, as an
yeah.
addict, as a thief, as a homeless person. For a long time, I've been across 5 states and decided that I was more excited about fentanyl than I was about getting a job or I couldn't even fill out for a general assistance or food stamps. I couldn't do it. That's how crazy, you know, that's where I was at. I always talk about this, and it's important to me. But there's the day that you realize that something bad was coming soon, and I'll never forget that day. But I didn't take note or heed. And then there's the day that, you know, for me, I got arrested, which, let's be real for a second, usually entails leg shaking, cramps, the worst kind of sweats you could ever imagine, 17 days of like being reborn into the world, and then waking up with nothing. And when I say with nothing, I will, you know, I always say, oh, I came into this, you know, like, you know, I had to build up what I have. I came into this with one shoe and no shirt. And by the grace of God, I was watching my friend, my best friend of 25 years, 2-year-old kid, and I OD'd on fentanyl. And the only reason that I'm alive today was because the kid flooded the apartment and brought the cops in. And so like they tried to like give me a reckless endangerment of a child, which would have stopped everything I'm doing, except for I'd signed up for school because I was going to actually go steal a copier because I was on the run from Alaska and I wasn't sure if they were going to come get me because, you know, if you know, Minnesota, Alaska and Minnesota are just the same. They'll come get you anywhere and they'll like put you up in hotels and shackle you over and send you through like 9 facilities before you get back home, end up doing whatever. And I signed up for the addiction counseling program because like I didn't even understand any of the other programs. I was like, oh my God, these are big words.
Right.
Higher education is complicated. And I'm a first generation college student, which means that you have to go to college to learn how to go to college.
Right.
And I'm also just Native American enough with tribal ID and, you know, and numbers that I thought I was going to get a good amount of money, and I was going to take that when I realized that maybe stealing a copier wasn't a good idea. And that didn't work out either because I wasn't a resident of Minneapolis yet. Like I literally came here, saw a friend, got busted, got to jail. I had one shoe and no shirt when I got to Park Avenue. And, you know, again, back to the whole story. There's the day that you realize something was going to happen. There's the day that you got arrested. There's the day you got let out to treatment because that's an amazing thing. They don't let everyone out to treatment. Like you could have done something where like, you know, I was just enough of the right things that happened for me to get to treatment. And then, you know, maybe I kind of like did what a person does when I got there was realize that I have an opportunity. You know, I started making necklaces. I have 1,000 of these semi-precious gems necklaces that I made. I was hoping to sell. I thought I was going to get this big hustle. I was going to open a food stand at the fair. I hadn't even seen the fair yet, so I didn't even know what kind of a feat that would be.
But in my head, State Fair?
Yeah, in my head, like, you know, I don't know if I've said this before, but like of the things that I am professional, I was a professional chef and dessert chef, and I was pretty good at some point. But I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, and so I had moved into New Way, Aragoni, which is where I'm still at 2.5 years later. And I would highly recommend, and I don't say this lightly because everyone's like, I just want to get out of this, like, you know, these complicated, you know, how do I say this, you know, structure, right? For me to have gotten to where I'm at today, I've had to recognize that I have to make it in places that are really tough. Like I first realized that I just came from the toughest places ever, and that what's going on now is uncomfortable sometimes. But for the most part, it's important to like, get uncomfortable and like, get a routine going, and I come to this meeting all the time and never talk about like, I'm a adamant volunteer at AA. I go to NA once a week, maybe twice a week. I was at 2218 yesterday for an NA meeting. And I love that. I used to go there and they'd be like, yo, recovery. And I'd be like, what is this? Like, did I get clean for this? And but today I can like recognize why it's so important that like and I can't sit here and judge anybody because like, well, for one, as much as I'm okay with it, I don't want to be judged. And I know that people don't want to be judged and that I have no idea where you came from.
Right.
I do know that I have no idea what choices that you've made and what circumstances that you came from. And so like, I would never be able to understand you and your culture of, recovery or culture of drugs unless I like, we have a conversation and you explain to me what your culture is. Like, that's how you respect culture, right? Like that's something that
communication
that I had to learn through some of the stuff that I'm doing right now is that it's important to be authentic and then, listen to people.
I think it's important that it gets brought up and we kind of put a magnifying glass on it because I've shared about it from day one with my story. It's like I was a heroin junkie, IV heroin junkie. I found my recovery in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. So whatever it looks like for you, it doesn't have, just because I was some drug abusing guy, I don't have to be at NA to find my recovery. A lot of people get this thing confused, and I've seen alcoholics go to NA and find their path, but everyone has their own path. Whatever that looks like for you, go find it. And as long as you're trying to find it, you shared about going to 2218, going to NA, but I know you're really involved with AA, and I know you majority from every Saturday night for a few years of going to the Basilica.
Yeah, I've been a volunteer every Saturday at Saturday Night Live. I've kind of felt like I was so lucky that those guys let me in. That was the second place that I went. So I'm kind of a nerd. Like even as a heroin addict, I read the Mill City when I was after I'd come down my big come down. I read the history of Minneapolis. I live in the Mill City. Like I live
read about like
1 block away from the Pillsbury factory right there,
yeah.
the towers or whatever, and like where like all of Minneapolis was born from. Sometimes I talk to people that don't understand their city,
right?
Like what this place came from, like it was handed down from the natives, and they were like had given these falls, and they had worked those falls to like build the electricity and build this metropolis up the way it is, and like the 2 things I did when I got released from Park Avenue with the first time that they trusted me, besides being able to go to the store, which by the way, they did offer me fentanyl and I only walked 2 blocks, which was hilarious. So I made the right decision that day. But I went to the Mill City on a tour, and then I came over to Saturday Night Live, and somehow or another that stuck with me just long enough that when I decided, and back to the whole thing, the day that you knew something was coming, the day that you got clean, or the day you got arrested, the day that I had gotten clean, which was 17 days in, the day that I'd gotten released to treatment, the day that I'd gotten out. And then of course there comes a day when you decide that you want recovery. And that is almost more important. And we never talk about it. We're like, well, what's your recovery day? How many days you been clean? Well, just for today. It was like, well, I'm going to bring that up a little bit. Like,
sure.
That didn't come for me right away because I wasn't comfortable walking into that place and asking for help. Even though I remember what it was like to sit on the corner and bum change, or to like call everyone I knew in my phone and see if they'd send me $5, because when you're out in Portland, $5 is enough to get you the fentanyl you need,
right.
And then you could steal the food that you got, and so you're living another day. In fact, it was a blessing and amazing that I even lived through my homeless times, because there's just so much at stake there. And everyone knows that.
Well, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on that because it is not doom and gloom, but it was part of your story. But this piece about Portland, just for a second, explain how dangerous and scary it was. I know you were there as someone involved with it, but
if you have to be anywhere, so I walked through Washington like that was kind of another interesting thing. Oh, I went down south to clean. I'm the only idiot ever to like decide to leave and go on the run the day before court, clean, and went snowboarding day one, and then did okay for a few like little bits, and then I went up to Washington, and I had made my way all the way down to California. And I was somewhere out in the deserts of 29 Palms where people eat each other. And someone had told me that they thought about killing me when I was trying to hook up on drugs or whatever. And they're like, yeah, it's easier just to kill you than it is to actually figure out if you're a rat or not. And I was like, somehow they liked me and they let me live. Another random story, the places that today are flooding it was that time of the year. And if you walked out of there was no buses, no planes, and no trains out of there. And if you walked out of there was a possibility that you were going to get washed out on the road. Yeah. There's a 3-day walk out, and there's there's a bunch of casinos on the way out. So, I mean, at the time, I thought that was a great thing. And somehow I'd gotten kicked out of every place. I went through San Luis Obispo, and ended up in my best friend's in Eugene, but she always kicks me out. So I ended up in Portland, and Portland is so dangerous. Portland has always been a mecca for drugs. Everyone knows this, that everyone who left Woodstock ended up in Portland. And so like the actual kind of drugs that are there were insane. And this last time around, on Christmas Day, my best friend had, and I didn't steal at this point. I was just homeless. And I like kind of had a little bit of the right thinking at the time because I've been using for 27 years. They all went and busted out one of those Macy's glass cases with it's called a cement gun. It's got a 22 bullet in it, and a little metal peg comes out. And the lady was screaming at all 6 of them as they took 150 bottles of cologne and jumped out the window with the police chasing them. And that was what Christmas was like when they showed up with everyone chasing them. And I told this story last week, but I was at Costco with my best friend, and someone was like, "How was your day?" And I'm like, "It's the best day of my life." And the guy was like, and I was like, "And if it's not, I'll lie to myself until it becomes the best day of my life," because I say that all the time. And he goes, "Man, that's real optimistic of you." And I said, "Yeah, well, walking 6 blocks in Portland, Oregon to go use the outhouse when you have to take an opiate bowel movement after however long, and you get to one of these they're not porta potties, they're like outhouses, but they're talking about installing them here. I saw on the news, they're like, "Oh yeah, these are the same ones in Portland." And I was like, "Oh no." And these outhouses, no one had told me at the time, they have an auto wash that comes on at 12 o'clock at night, which means that out of nowhere you get soaked if you're just hanging out in the potty.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. And
it's so a whole disinfectant cleaner.
And so I'm telling this Costco guy, I'm like, "Yeah, the auto wash came on and washed my drugs away." And I was crying in the street because I don't know if you've ever been through anything like that. There's nothing more spectacular. And it was the closest thing I'd had to a shower in 9 months. And so for me to say today that every day of my life is the best, right. Even in the struggles that I have going on, every day of my life is the best day of my life.
I love that view of it. I love it. I share with her all the time about that, today's our anniversary. Today's our anniversary. It's the first day of us celebrating this day.
Good for you guys.
I'm just, even if I'm solo by myself, today is my anniversary. How many days have you been where you're at right now? Never. Today's the first day of that.
There is only now. There is only now. If you're stuck in thinking about what's going on tomorrow, you're lost daydreaming about something that hasn't happened. And if you're worried about yesterday, you're stuck in your head.
They say yesterday's depression, tomorrow's anxiety.
It was funny. I was thinking earlier, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. What's funny? It's crazy because I always talk a lot, but and I don't. I hate to come into somewhere and be all set and be perfect. I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to a lot of things, and I'd like to sound in a lot of ways. But
the attitude for gratitude, bro. This is we hip shoot around here, and if you pop in whenever there's something for you to say real quick. Who are you, young lady?
Jess.
Jess, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you.
Kevin, I couldn't imagine this Portland life like that. Everyone, the reason I'm kind of magnifying it is just everyone's heard of it. Everyone's heard about the horrors of how it is out there being the Wild West of just tent city, heroin, fentanyl, open use, ODs everywhere.
No cops.
Yeah.
No, I just watched the TikTok documentaries
of
Portland.
Yeah. So Like
That's all
it
I
is
watch.
scary,
But I've never been there.
but it's an IV user's mecca.
I wanted to get clean in Portland.
How hard or what was that feat like? Did you ever attempt it? Did you walk into treatment? Do they have treatment like here? Like I can speak like Arizona. Good luck if you want. It's nothing like here.
Before I quit my Suboxone a year and a half, 2 years ago, I had never in my life ever quit using a drug without getting arrested in the worst situation ever and being forced to face that music. So like we tell ourselves these lies all the time. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to do better, and like, yeah, sure. Like eventually you kind of don't rip off the same people, I mean, that's another really interesting thing is that like, I'm not just an addict and I'm not just an alcoholic. I'm not just like a heroin user. I'm not just an IV user. I'm also a thief and a liar and a gambler and a womanizer. And like today I can say that a lot of what I brought to the table has come from me realizing that if you think about it like this, if you started at a center point and you looked all 360 degrees around you, that there's only one path, and some might call it the path, the road less traveled. But really it's like the path of recovery. It's like the hard path, because if you've been down all those other roads, you walked down the road and then had to walk back because it didn't work. And so like, I don't say this lightly when I say that I know for a fact that all 359 degrees of that circle is no-go roads. So like the only road that's a go is the hard road that's in front of you. That like, if you put your big boy pants on and you get up and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say that I'm a warrior today, and you do the hard things, that you'll be able to like, bring to the table a lot of things. And I'd heard a lot of things about like how, like, look at all these people that are leaders and this, that, and the other. And like, I didn't really recognize this until like I became part of the addiction counseling club. And one of my bosses said that was a student leader. And I was like, like the more I was like attuned to that and grew into that, I realized something that like, people always say this too, like, I only got a few days. And like Tim, I've said that before to Tim, and Tim said, those few days are the most important and powerful thing. And you should own that the way that you own that, because every second of that is a miracle. And that you're a leader for so many people, because so many people haven't gotten clean and they can look up to you even with a couple of days, and you could say something really powerful. And that is what it means to be a leader, is to like, to lead other people onward. We can't compare each other. We are not comparable. You will be lost in like sadness and if you sit around thinking, I wish I was as cool as them, or this, that, and the other, and didn't just work on yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a lot of things, but at the end of the day, my big thing that's helped me is higher education. I got to take some communication classes and learn some things that like all the little tiny things like put together, like so important, right? Like I learned so much about what it means to like to be able to speak sometimes in a way that is more important, to not like sound that you're above people, like just talking to people, you connect with them, right? And like I know a lot of people that are like, I learned all these big words and all this stuff, and like sure, like that's important, but I think it's more important that we all understand each other and that we can tell each other what we need and we can help each other, because it's not easy. We just went through Christmas. I mean, I could tell you what my Christmas was like. My family had a very warm Christmas in Alaska. Everybody opened their presents. Everyone missed me. I mean, while I was there, I was not, the best to have around. And, but, today, I could bring all this stuff to the table. I didn't even have my license until 8 months ago or 9 months ago. I'm 44 years old. And my mom said, you never get your license unless you, if you don't get your license by the time you're 40, you'll probably never have it. And the guys that I drove here were like, damn, you're a pretty good driver, which is even funnier because I'm like, you have no idea. Like I'm sometimes like I'm in a big city. Like I'm not from the kind of place that this place is. And like, I don't know what that's like. I'm so free right now. I am the most free I've ever been. My probation officer called me on Thursday. Did I tell the story yet?
No.
So I was on Wednesday, Christmas Eve. I'm cruising down the road with my buddy that just got out of jail for 10 years for vehicular homicide, and has been pretty down on himself. He was using, but like just killing somebody is enough to arrest you, so they didn't even test him. So he ended up doing 10 years anyways. And he got to witness this on the speakerphone phone call from my probation officer, who was like, "Hey, I got a Christmas present for you." And in my head, like back home, that would be like, I'm going to jail.
Right.
That would, like, they were going to tell me what's going on. Like, come on in, you're going to jail.
Is that a phone?
Oh.
One of your phones?
It's mine.
Go ahead and silence it. You're good. So I want to hear about this Christmas present.
And she kind of plays it out for like a couple seconds. And
All right. So wait, I don't want to get to punchline yet. So through your head right there, you're like, shit, every time in the past, this means jail or something. Your probation.
I've never actually I'll say this. I've completed probation because I did all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
All the time.
Right.
And extra time. And if you've ever been let on discretionary parole and you got sentenced 4 years, you ended up doing those 2.5 extra years. So what you did was 6.5 years on 4 years.
Yeah.
And
I think time hanging overhead is almost scarier for me than just sitting out the time to go execute.
Oh, I've had that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not fun either.
So okay, sorry. So you're waiting for her to give the punchline, and you got your boy with you, just gets out 10 years, and she's like, "I got a present for you, and this is Christmas Eve. Come on, let's hear the rest of this."
Well, I knew that I was going into administrative leave, which means I didn't have to check in anymore.
It's like
and they wanted to let me go, but nobody was responding. And like, I'm going to be real, I'm a little worried sometimes with when it comes to legal issues, because the reason I was going to steal something when I went to college was because I have a warrant in Alaska, and they will come for you. And so like, I'm always waiting for it to hit. And in court, they said, I guess I go to court, and they said, when I was getting sentenced, which they dumped it down, they said, Alaska doesn't want you back. They don't want to bring you back because you've been in too much trouble there. They said, leave him there. He's doing fine, which is a blessing in itself. Like, let's be real for a second. I'm like, I can't believe that. I've been taken from Oregon and taken back to Alaska. I've been taken from other places.
Yeah, they extradite no matter where you are.
Minnesota and Alaska have money, and they will extradite. And for some reason, they said that they don't want to deal with me anymore. But so, no idea what I was going to get. She said that you're off paper. That was just how she said it. Christmas Eve, you're off paper. It might take 2 days. It might take 2 days. So again,
bro, no administrative drop down, just you're off paper.
And the big thing about that is I kind of knew this was coming because, like, I haven't had a problem. I haven't had a violation. I haven't had a run-in with the cops. I haven't been pulled over. And I'm not doing anything that's illegal at anywhere, and so like they're letting people go early right now. That's what, and I don't know, it might be like it's not a secret, she said, well, and if you've got your CBT hours, which means that you did some sort of like cognitive behavioral therapy treatment somewhere that, and you have done half your time, they're letting you go if you're not having any problems. They don't want to. I'm not a problem for them, and that they wanted to let me go. And like, so back to like this freedom, I have 2 cars today, and I just got my license 9 months ago. I have 2 cars. I got a summer car that's like a little like stealthy like Subaru with like a bassy, a competition bass speaker in the back, which is like my cruise mobile. But when the snow hit, I found out that, oh my God,
I've seen that. I know what car you're talking about.
And last week I got a Dodge Durango, and it's like not a new Durango, but it's got a Hemi in it. I've never had anything like that. And like, I'm a little not afraid of the snow, but I also, you want to hear something even more funny?
Come on.
Today I bought a snowboard, bindings, and boots because
you didn't steal them.
Even though I'm not in the mountainous region I come from, I come from Double Black Diamond.
Yeah.
We have hills here.
And that's all they are.
They're hills. Hey, they're hills.
They're
and
hills.
you know what? Let's be real for another second. That's good for your recovery. That's a healthy thing.
It's healthy.
And where I come from, the lifts are 45 minutes. You're on the lift for 45 minutes. So you have 45 minutes of downtime. You don't have downtime here. It's just circle, circle, circle.
I've never been to Alaska skiing, but like Colorado and that, half-hour lifts or, people don't get the difference. Like, our Black Diamonds are the bunny hills there.
I mean, Alaska's dangerous.
Yeah, no doubt.
I
You're
have
talking
best
cliffs.
friends that are the best in the world. And so I mean, I had a lot of promise as a kid. I was a skateboarder and a lot of things. And so like, you know, to be healthy about that and recognize that, you know, I'm getting old. Well, I'm gonna say I'm getting old, but I'm starting to not be like a child anymore. So
Ah.
like I gotta be doing, you know, my dangerous things that are healthy, which means that like for me to go on and continue as a college student and an employee, I have to like keep it within reason, which I've learned from recovery. Let's be real for a second. Like if I hurt myself because I'm living in my addiction, because that's all we did when we were in our addiction, is mostly hurt ourselves to the point where we couldn't go forward and do all the things that we needed to do. You know, I love saying this too, but like recovery is so about getting that extra rest and being able to say no, and also being able to say yes, and, you know, recognizing, you know, that it's time to put water and it's time to, you know, I have heart failure, hypertension, and diabetes. And that means that like I have to run every day. And that means that I have to like say no to soda pops. And that means that I have to say yes to salads and, you know, yes to like cooking my own meals, even though I'm at a sober house and I go way out of my way. I also have taken a nutrition class, and I finally can say that I understand how to read what it means to be healthy. And I think that, you know, if there's anybody out there listening, it's good to put good things in yourself. It will help you make good decisions and have good thoughts, you know, because you get what you put into things.
Oh yeah, Kevin, I'm gonna sidewind you here. What's been the biggest hurdles that you can share about for you personally in this journey of recovery? What's been the biggest hurdles?
You know, you have to have growth all the time, and that means that like I might seem like a lot of things, but I come from an explosive father, and I am a very explosive person, and I have a very sharp tongue, and no one's ever seen it here, but I could probably make you want to hurt yourself just by how mean I could be with my tongue. And so like sometimes I blow up on people in cases, and I like will justify them, which is really bad for your recovery. And like I've had enough growth through the times that when it's happened at school, when it happened at school, it was just enough that I didn't get kicked out. And when it happens at home, and I've put the boss.
Open that door.
I put the boss on.
Come on in.
I just wondering if that cat is dead.
Not in here.
If you see it, make sure it's in the house.
Oh yeah.
I put the boss on in a place where, you know, I know that he means well and he wants the best for the house. And sometimes, you know, we could all be in recovery and not see things eye to eye. I'm somebody who studies addiction medicine, so I could tell you a little bit about.
You're really educated.
Everyone,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm really educated.
You're educated
but
on
I
this.
care enough to say that, like, when somebody called me the other day and they said, "Well, they wanted a definitive answer of it all," and they're like, "What's the definitive answer of the best route for recovery?" And I'm like, "Man, there's like 5 theories of recovery, and like, if you really want to know how funny they are, one of them is called the choice model. And let me tell you something, it's not mathematical definites. It's theory. It means that like
theory. That's the key word there. Theory.
It means that we can have scientific proof that this stuff works, or that like, you know, but like there's so much to it, you know. There's like people that are really serious with the harm reduction model, you know, and I know that it's interesting to say that change. When I first got clean, I'd have told you that the best way to get clean would be the abstinence model, right? Which means don't pick up, don't use. You can't do it. Get away from it. Get different friends. Go to meetings. Hang out with only people in recovery. And, you know, some time has passed, and I'm able to walk into a bar and get a burger and not get a drink today. You know, like I can go into Matt's and have a Juicy Lucy and sit next to some guys that are drinking and not have it be a problem, because I know that that's poison for me. Poison. I break out in running, I will be like 10 states from where we're at. I'll like, don't know how I got there. I'll have blood on my forehead. I'll be in some ditch somewhere. I'm like way out in the middle of nowhere. Someone poking me with a stick. This is a true story. And they'll be like, you're on private property. I'm like on some church commune. And like, I don't know why, but there's like 2,000 fentanyl pills in one of my pockets. And like, this is crazy because as a bum, you know, you could have nothing, but you'll still have your 2,000 fentanyl pills, right?
Well, yeah.
But
Drugs
like your
matter.
clothes are dirty, you haven't seen a shower, your head is bleeding, and you don't know what state you're in or why you're where you're at. Your phone has 3% battery on it. You know, I was telling this story to my alcoholic sponsor at some point, and he was like, "You remember all that?" And I was like, "You know, at some point or another, everyone's recovery is different, and everyone's addiction is different." You know, I was one of those people that was like 100% with it until I wasn't, but you know, blackouts are all there for everybody. I blacked out doing hot rails of fentanyl, and I blacked out on crystal meth. I blacked out on alcohol, and I blacked out on anger, and all of those things are another interesting thing, because when I say that you could be sober and be so mad that you aren't thinking like a person would think who is in recovery and knows what's good for them. And so when you asked about growth and like what your struggles, I was talking about growth in my recovery is to recognize today that I'm able to not get mad like I usually get mad, which, let's be real for a second, could be really dangerous because I'm usually a nice guy. And when I get mad, I get really mad. I get
Imagine
so
that.
mad. And I know you know about this because we get mad and like things get bad, you know, I don't know. And I guess maybe to like be all over the place. Another really challenging thing has been women. I'm 5 years single, and I'm 2.5 years sober. Well, 2.5 years in recovery. So something to think about, you know, is that like it's taken me a little while to recognize this, but I've had a lot of terrible relationships. And so here I am in recovery, and not all the relationships are going to be good for you. And I'm a complicated person. That's
welcome to the world.
right. That's
Dude, you want to know something? The one of the hardest things that happened to me in my recovery, but yet the best things, is I'd say maybe it was 6 months in. I don't remember the date, but I asked this girl out. I kept in her ear. I was like, let me be the one to make you happy, because she was sharing with me how this guy she was with wasn't making her happy, and just sharing her woes with me.
running game.
And I was running game like, oh, girl, I'm the one to make you happy. Like, you deserve to be smiling. She was like, pardon my language, I am trying. She's like, fuck no. Look at you. Like, what have you got to offer yourself, let alone a relationship? It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I forget women. Like, at that point, I was like, I'm not even going to. Women meant nothing to me. And I started looking at myself in recovery. It was the best thing that ever happened to me when it comes to that topic. Because I was worried about the way I looked when I walked into meetings, making sure no boogies and zippers up, this, that, the third, instead of worrying about Tim.
There's a song by Nako Bear, who's one of
Thank
my
you, Jess.
favorite artists. It's called Dichotomy. And he explains that dichotomy is in the song. He says dichotomy is loving somebody that you love them as they are, and you don't need to change. You know, like when we think about like, you know, the kind of things that we did in relationships and, you know, in drugs, was that we were always trying to like change everybody. And like, while doing that, you were disfocused on the actual work you could do on yourself. And like, so like, I guess today the question I asked myself was like, well, what do I bring to the table? And so like, let's be real for a second. I'm like, I'm in a sober house and I am busy with school. And so like, my mom says it all the time, and I always joke with her. I'm like, oh yeah, these girls are like hitting on me. And she's like, you need to stay focused on what you got going on. Because she knows that like she's never really ever liked a girl that I've ever brought home. Because let's be real for a second, as a heroin dealer, you have to pick them a special sort of way. Like, it's not that important. All these like little things. Like the biggest important thing is if you're in the big move, that because you need your drugs, and you're always going to be in the middle of the next big move, that she can't stop you from what you're doing. And so you got to pick one that's so messed up that she's not going to be like, you know what, we should quit. It's getting a little bit scary. So like most of the girls that I've ever been with were so toxic and so terrible that, and don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of nice girlfriends in some dark places, and I've learned a lot of things, and I thought, that I've understood some things, but like, I got to Park Avenue Treatment Center, and they were like, "What's your first date like?" And I was so sad in that little moment. I was like, I've never been on a date, like, and like that's what my addiction really entails, like. That, like, I've had some girlfriends, but that didn't have anything to do with like any dates. I had a date with my ex-girlfriend Lindsay's parents, who one was a lawyer and one was a doctor, and they hadn't spoken to her in 2 years, and they somehow found my number, and they're from Seattle, and they came to Juneau, and I was on the run, so they know everything about my past. The police are looking for me. It's plastered up all over Facebook. And I got to cook them, a seafood fettuccine Alfredo, and these are like some bougie rich people, and they were like, that is the best food I've ever had in my life. And like, I have the connects when it comes to like people on boats that have like the best Alaskan spot prawns and the best like seafood you could get. So
Still today?
yeah, sure.
All right. Well, then,
Yeah,
I'm going to
sure.
utilize you.
We could have that sent, but
Did you sure me?
we could have that sent right now.
My man.
I mean,
You had to say it in front of her. Thanks.
I didn't know it was a thing. People out here don't eat seafood, and like there is
Yeah, we do.
people out here. A lot of people out. I'm sorry.
We
a
just
lot of people
had,
out here don't
yeah,
understand
yeah.
what it's like to taste
Fresh.
a oyster out of a cove in Alaska, and you can taste the water from that cove. It tastes like that cove, where it's like the most untouched, most amazing thing you could ever imagine. And for some people, it's all about texture and it's all about this, but like, let's be real for a second. There is no greater thing on this planet than the smorgasbord of amazing seafood that comes out of the ocean. I have a fisher buddy. He got busted not too long ago. They said he was dealing drugs, but he wasn't. He has $1 million boat and $1 million shrimping business. And he shrimps all kinds of shrimp and it was weird because I know about the Alaskan spot prawn and I knew about all these things, but he would pull out thousands and thousands and thousands of different types of prawns, because in Alaska we have like so much space and so much seafood and so little pollution. And
Right.
so like,
Dude, we just had crab legs, and then the leftover meat.
what kind of crab legs?
It was just snow crab. And the leftover meat she made, come on, crab cake.
Yeah, crab cakes. was-
Delicious.
Yeah.
A mustard base, lemon, and just whatever. We are going down a different road.
No, that's the closest thing I ever came to a date was like that, and it was really not a date.
How important is a relationship with that type of relationship to you today? How important is it? Serious.
My main focus right now is I'm almost to the promised land for what I'm trying to do. And like, I would be very open to a relationship, but like a relationship is different than I see a relationship before, because it's not about what you can do for each other. Because we always ask that. Everything's always about what are you going to do for me, right? You got a house, you got a ride for me, you got a job, you got a dad with money. To me, I think it's about how you inspire each other, or
Nice.
like, how you work well with each other to do good at what you're doing, because it's bigger than just that connection there. It's also how you affect each other and doing what you're trying to do. Because like, for one, for me, I think it's important to like, do what you guys are doing.
How do you lift one another up?
Huh?
I want my partner to be the one behind me doing this. in
Right.
life.
Well, that's what I was, I don't know. My dad used to say this, and my dad died from Hep C in 2012. He died from liver cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
And I was in jail.
Sorry to hear that.
But one of the things that my father said to me about, him and my mother were together for 48 years, not married. They got married the last little bit before he died, the last year or whatever. But he had said to me at one point, and this is like, some healthy stuff that I did get out of my parents, was that one of the things about being in a relationship is that you have the other person to like stop you sometimes and be like, you're not making sense. And like, yeah, it's important to be like uplifted, and it's important to be like caught, and it's important to like, feed off each other and help each other in what you're doing. But there's like a lot to it, a lot of people don't understand. I hear, and I try to be non-judgmental. I hear a lot of people talk about their relationships and the jealousy of things and the certain stuff, Have you ever been in jail before and heard somebody crying on the phone, like, "Who out are you sleeping with?" And like, I've seen like how sad that is on the other end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And then you like, I don't actually know what a healthy relationship is, but like through all of the unhealthiness, I could tell you all the things I don't want. And like, I'm like open to the idea, but I'm also open to the fact that I've been really, really, really well this time around. I mean, it's not about fame I was so happy that Tim asked me to come on the show here. But at the same time, like, it's not about fame and fortune as much as it is like maybe sharing your story and your recovery with other people that uplifts. I said it at the beginning of the show. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And the one thing that we can say is that we're all the same. We all understand the same emotions. Like, our stories are different and our places are different and our people are different, but we all went through the same pain and the same suffering.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And like, that's it. That's like, well, that's how we connect. None of us are the same.
No.
We're like from different walks of life. People take one look at me and they, how many people are like, "I didn't know you could play guitar. I didn't know you could cook. I didn't know you were in college," and all these like little things. Like, now that I've spoken about these things and been about these things for a little while, people like are recognizing these little things. That's not all of who I am.
Exactly.
Right. But we were, we all felt like the same pain or like the same emptiness or, broken down or at the end, we were all in the same spot.
It doesn't define us.
No,
My past doesn't make me who I am. It's part of what made me who I am, but it's not who I am today. We love you, John Bryce. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's not who I am today by any means.
But I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't go through what I went through. Same with you. And same with, that's just a statement.
For sure.
It's a statement. No one's going to be, we are who we are because of what we went through. And it's what we do with it and how we choose to move forward is what makes us.
Yeah.
Being aware of what you just shared about with the relationship, like, you're aware. In the past, me personally, I wasn't. I spent the first 6 months of my relationship asking and saying, like, I don't know if I'm a good man. I don't know if I'm being in a good relationship because I've never done it.
That's because you have a lot of game, but now you're like growing up and realizing what it means to be a man. And if you like listen to some like really interesting music, it's there in the words that like you can like run game on anyone, and you can like be like great in bed and all these things, but like to really keep a person, I want to say there's like a lot more at play there.
Hell yeah.
So to like waste some people's time, like let's say there was a girl on TikTok that was like hilarious. She was like, what'd she say? It's a terrible statement too. She was like, he said he didn't want to, what she said? She said he wasn't ready for a relationship. We met on a dating app, which speaks a lot in itself, right? Because like she hooked up with him, and then he like played the whole like card that like and like so he's out there playing this like little thing, which is funny because I don't mess with any of that stuff. I'm not a like dating app sort of person. Like, I don't know if I'm even a normie person. That's another really interesting thing. Like, I say I want some normal thing. Like, it becomes complicated in my head because I'm way in my head. Like, I want some normal things, but like, it would be hard to not date someone in recovery. And so like, becomes a really complicated process because a lot of people are doing really well. And some people are bad for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's a like really like, gosh, I could say the same thing about the kind of people you hang out with and what you choose to do, like speaks a lot about who you are. I didn't get to this place I'm at today by like hanging out with all the newcomers all the time. Some of the really important thing came from a lot of the old timers taking my newcomer vibe because they were showing me how important it was for me to come and bring what I could bring to the table. But they were also teaching me things about like I looked up one day and I was like, God, I'm a lame. I get up early in the morning and I go to sleep early at night. I never am late for any appointment and all these things. And everyone was like, so are we. Like be an adult. Like, like, are you
welcome to the world?
Are you going to go on with your life? Like showing up late to everything? Like no one's going to hire you or take you serious. Like you want to, how you show up is so important. I like show up early to things that some people just don't, you know, like
Oh,
I'm happy you guys think that's funny.
No,
Is that not something people come on here and say?
No, it's just a realization that it's
It's a
like,
good thing.
yeah, it's a awesome. It's
Yeah.
welcome to the world, dude.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, and that's another thing. It's just a simple, normal thing for like, gosh, there's you know how many people
We
there are
all
that
experience that.
never seen a lick of recovery
Yeah.
or addiction that are like, yeah, I show up on time and I take care of my stuff and 1 + 2 = 3, and then I have like
No.
everything that makes sense. You know,
I could oversleep for a 5 p.m. shift.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. Like, it's, and I was never on time for stuff. So I don't totally understand.
We
Yeah.
just had that conversation, and I was like, how many times did it revolve around some way, shape, or form our use?
Oh, everything. Everything. I was
That
like,
I was not a responsible
Yeah.
human. Like,
yeah, I was strung out. I was hungover. I was something. I was, yeah.
it's like, whatever. All right. So we've got some questions that have come in, and some from Nautical Bowl. I don't know if you know who that is. That's a healthy place to eat sometimes.
Oh, is that what the question
Some of the
is
hot,
from?
yeah, I had two that came in that are the same as the Nautical Bowl questions. Kevin, how would you describe yourself right now, today? How would you, let's just say you're on a dating app and you have to write a profile of self. How would you sum that up in like less than a paragraph if you could? And it's your story. There's nothing.
on a good day and a bad day, and I say that like on a good day, I could tell you that I'm a champion who shows up. That I'm a
Say that
warrior,
again. You're a
that I'm
champion that
who shows up, and I'm not about like always being the first or being winning at things, like But I also like we're talking about a dating app. I don't get on dating apps, and I wouldn't get on a dating app. And I just got done watching a thing about how we like know they're like studying like molecular science, and they understand that like that you're like you're a Wi-Fi. You have like your memories and stuff like that are like in between like an actual electrical chemical process and also like a Wi-Fi signal, which means that like us being in the room together, we're like exchanging chemicals in the air,
energy.
pheromones,
Yeah,
all sorts of things,
100%.
all these things. So like us being here and us like being in the digital world kind of becomes kind of complicated. So like, I do recognize when I'm on text, sometimes texting people that like that's not my real authentic self, that like through like kind of like reading and being able to I was taught something in school. If you don't think that you're a very good at punctuation and spelling and things like that, and you speak well, you could probably go to school if you recognize that if you speak well, you already know everything about where all of the punctuation goes and that you have a voice that sounds just like that. But like to be able to come out and connect with people, like if it was just me in this room talking to people over the line, it's not the same for me. Like, as much as I do care deeply about your followers and the viewers and stuff like that, I'm here in this room with you guys.
Yeah.
And this is like what's happening in this room right now is happening with your guys' energy. I'm really powerful sometimes, and I can take the microphone away, and don't always. Gosh, I can have really good conversations, and I'm not today. I'm like all over the place.
You're doing great today. And you know what? I share this all the time. And when I do my promos, whatever, I selfishly do this show. This isn't for nothing personal to whoever's listening, but this is my Friday night meeting, bro.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for now 5 years. I didn't realize it's been that long. I've been doing this for 5. It's my personal Friday night meeting where I get to hear someone's experience, strength, and hope, and I get to interrupt them. Fucking score. And I stay sober and clean. Like the energy that happens.
Your recovery is not perfect, and you're not perfect, and I'm sure you recognize that, and that's part of one of the reasons that you get comfortable and uncomfortable and figure out how to get comfortable again, right? Because like
I have to be that way.
one thing that I can say recovery has taught me is that I'm able to recognize when I am in the wrong. And then I'm also able to make amends, which means that like I don't just apologize today on the big things. Sometimes I do cut people off, and sometimes I do not recognize little things because I'm not perfect. But to be able to like come out and say, I'm sorry, I did this. What can I do to make it better? Is so big because it brings the other group in equally, right? Like you're allowing them to feel better and help you feel better and learn from the experience and teach each other I mean,
It's a men's 101, baby.
it's a big thing, you know, because like people talk about it all the time, but like how many times has everyone said I'm sorry and then did the same thing over again? How many times in the womanizing in my past did I say that I was sorry to like calm the problem, but didn't really mean it?
Mm-hmm.
And so like
It's an emptyless apology, and I did it my whole life.
Tim asked a while ago, what's the biggest struggle?
Hurdles.
Being able to recognize when you're wrong and go back and apologize, because as an addict I will justify anything and say you were in the wrong and not recognize that I blew up and that I wasn't professional.
Yeah, when emotions are high, things get different too, though. For me personally, like when my emotions are high and something's happening, I don't resort right back to this. It hasn't taken place yet. I still let my emotions get in the way, and then I go back amending later because I realize, shit, that's not how I wanted to show up during that interaction when my emotions get involved. Because we all have emotions, and like they sometimes run the show. I don't want them to always. All right, another question came in, and it was, where'd it go? Right here. I have them numbered. Come on, fat boy. Talking to me. But now we're gonna have a cooking date, dude. I didn't know that you were. What motivates you the most, Kevin?
Oh man.
And then you're answering that next, Jess.
Oh man.
Oh,
Let Jess go first.
What motivates you the most, Jess? And you can't say me.
no, it's not you.
Are
That's worth
you staring at yourself in the mirror?
No, I was staring outside at the skyline.
Can you see? Is the mirror pointed at either of you? If you look in the mirror, can you see yourself? Either of you?
No, I can see.
I can look if I see over it.
Oh, I tried to angle it so you guys could.
What motivates me the most? Like a meeting or church.
Faith?
Yeah, faith. My faith. I want to say that's probably my biggest motivators. Yep.
Come on, baby.
That if I work hard enough for it, I can keep myself moving forward, because I've been to the bottom of the valley and dug down under the river. And when I thought I hit rock bottom, I was nowhere near what that was. And I thought I was doing really well. And like, I'm able to pay my bills today and do all the things today. So like, I'm motivated right now by like the fact that like there's an opportunity for me. I was dead in 2016. I had a pulmonary embolism and 3 heart failures and got medevaced and I was intubated, and I woke up. My best friend was in Anchorage and had been like out for 122 days. I was in the hospital for 6 months, but I was in a coma for 122 days. And like, that was where heroin had brought me, was I started spitting up blood and didn't deal with it. And like, my injection use was so off the hook, and I was just such a wreck. And I was saved, and like, I love that you talk about faith, because like, I'm a lot of things, and I know at this point that like, whatever God has saved me for, I'm open to the idea, and we're trying to recognize what I can be used for next. Like, that's like the big thing. Like, my car survived this wreck that happened out front of my house. Like 10 cars got busted up, and this she had a heart attack and her wheel came off, and she hit 10 cars and then missed my car and hit another car. And like, I don't use my car for anything but taking people to meetings, taking people home from school, and taking people to meetings.
Service work.
And like, I help people move. I helped my friend move on Christmas Eve the other day. And like, he struggles really hard. He's a friend from school, and like, his mom kind of kicked him out, but like also didn't really kick him out. She moved out so that he'd have to move out. And so for him to stay in school, I told him, call me anytime. I would help move him. And I like wanted to be a little bit mad when he called me on Christmas Eve. And I was out at like Grace Fellowship, or Grace, like it's like a 5,000 person church out in Eden Prairie.
Yeah.
Big church. Never been anywhere like that.
Huge
And
church.
I was with my friend Bill. This is a shout out to Bill, my buddy from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yep, I know Bill.
Tim was like, well, I don't know why Bill isn't there talking tonight, because this, that, and the other.
I wasn't sure when I told you like bring someone. I thought maybe you were gonna bring him. I didn't know.
But I get done with that, and he calls me, and I'm like, I wanted to be like, it's Christmas Eve. Like, you're going to call me on Christmas Eve. But like in that moment, I kind of recognized that was like God giving me an opportunity to like do these things. And like, this kid was helpless. He needed a whole apartment moved. And I just got a Dodge Durango. And like, somehow I duct taped his box spring to the top and crushed his like, queen size mattress into my car, which, you know, would never have fit, which if you like understand what that's like,
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
impressive that I pulled that off, and I got all of his stuff and moved his cat on like the day before things got really tough and he looked really uncomfortable. But like, that's what I get to bring to the table today. You know,
You
like,
brought something up. You
That's
said
cool.
you brought up the word God and faith and this and that. We haven't touched on it. We're going to touch on this and then get to starting to kind of wrapping up. We went 1:20 already.
Have we?
That means it's a good show. It feels like 10 minutes. Do you have a faith today? And if so, how does that play out in your life and use it in your recovery if you do? How? Talk to me about your faith.
well, first time I had really ever spoken to God, I was in the bushes, praying for the cops to step over me, or I was in the bushes praying that the cops would step over me, or the guy that wanted to murder me would just miss me. And like today, I like have a relationship with a higher power, and I ask things that are important, like, you know, like, what does that look like? Like, man, if you've been to the places that some of us have been, you would know that there was a God looking out for you because you are here now. And like, I don't come from a religious family, and I try not to make things complicated, because when we start talking about the Bible and religion and this, that, and the other, but like, man, if you're in recovery and you don't recognize that somehow or another you've been saved and have the opportunity to help other people, which really isn't the opportunity to help other people, it's allow other people to be helped so that you could be helped, and recognize that God is going to give you all the struggles and everything that you want, you know, all at the same time.
Well said.
Yeah.
No, really,
Amen.
really well said, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Kevin, hey, pick a number 1 through 100. Out of the blue, we're taking a hard left here.
78.
78. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
On the real,
Yes.
I drove up to Restaurant Depot the other day and bought a $27 pig belly bacon, whole pork belly,
Which
which is a double smoke.
stuff?
It's a thick double smoke, cut your own bacon. So I cut my own bacon the other day because I really like to make sure when I eat, and don't get me wrong, bacon will coagulate in your blood. And I'm not saying bacon's the best thing you should ever have, but like, gosh darn it, you deserve to eat good.
I like this
I
guy.
had a half of an English muffin, and it was definitely, I think, Jimmy Dean or whatever that good one is, which I didn't buy. Came from the sober house. And I buy a 60 pack of eggs. I usually have eggs every morning because I work out every day, and eggs are good protein,
Yeah.
even though they're high in cholesterol. And that bacon, which my friend says is kind of like brisket. He's like, that bacon is like brisket. It's like thick and it like melts in your mouth.
Oh,
and
dude,
like,
you're making me hungry, man.
I wake up usually to like some sort of an unhealthy / healthy, because I do cook it for myself and I do get to choose the oils. And I also know that like you need energy if you're gonna, something I learned in school, that you can't survive on Doritos and candy bars
look at
if
me.
you need to like write papers. If you want to write a 15, oh yeah, I as much as I love you and Paul, sometimes I would like, you know, hope that some of the stuff that I say bleeds off on you. I want you to know that like you can only have as good of thoughts as the things that you put in your body and you know what you're doing. That means that you have to take time to like walk. I walk 23,000 steps a day, no matter what. And I have a car, but I also take time to drink
Real
water.
quick side note. I snack on Doritos. They aren't my meals. Pick a number 1 through 100. Smiles.
46.
46. You had to say Doritos. You had to say Doritos. What was the worst haircut you ever had?
Oh my gosh. I think my mom put a bowl over my head when I was a kid. It was horrible.
How old? Tell me it was like you're in school.
Oh well, yeah, I was like in grade school.
Oh,
It was a nightmare. Yeah. Yeah, it was horrible. I think she did that to all three of us. Yeah. But I think that was like the thing to do back then. It was a nightmare.
Rob, you know what, dude? Is what I say to you. Bull haircut on a girl. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Pick a number 1 through 100.
42.
42. What's the most valuable piece of advice that you've been given? Finally, a good one that you can recall.
To remember to be kind with yourself and others, because more important than being intelligent is that you're kind. It is, you could be a lot of things, and you could be everything that you're trying to be and not be up to par with everything, and be a kind person and be the most beautiful, spectacular thing that you could possibly be, because being kind is more important than anything else.
Would you be willing to come back on the show?
Yeah.
You're a great guest, dude. Serious. I like it. You're not giving lame one answer responses. And then nothing against past guests, because like I said, this is my Friday night meeting. It's all good one word answers. But I was just having a conversation on the phone when I clicked over from you with someone about basically what you just said. And I think one of the most important things we need to do is give ourselves grace. We have to show everyone else love and kindness and grace, but it's important you give yourself grace.
I would have said,
Who's hurt you more than you, Kevin? Serious, in your life?
nobody's ever hurt me more than me.
Yes.
I almost would have said to that last one, somebody said that my philosophy teacher just said that the most valuable thing that a person can bring to the table is critical thinking. And I know that that's important, but my mom is a kind, beautiful human being who never speaks bad about anybody. And if I was taught one thing about anything, it was that, like, you know, people say that she kind of gossips, which isn't true, because she's never said anything bad about anybody. But we're from a small town and we like to know what's going on.
Right.
And we tend to, like, you know what's going on. But she never says anything bad about anybody. And like, she's just so kind. She's opened the door.
Your mom?
My mother
Nice.
still opens the door on Thanksgiving and Christmas to like our drug addict friends who show up. Like, I've been clean for like a few years, and like a buddy will show up and she'll open the door and feed people and just be like endlessly kind, you know. And like, something that she taught me was that, like, people might not be here forever. You have an opportunity today to treat this person the best they could ever be treated, and they may not be here later on. So take this time to be nice to people, which I can't say I always am, and I know that you probably can't either. This one here could be an angel. I don't know.
She is.
I
You're an angel.
Okay.
Accept it.
no. I'm gonna have my days.
Pick a number. Pick a number 1 through 100.
15.
15. Interesting thing about you that you dislike.
Oh, I think sometimes I struggle with perfectionism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
To an
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
Or setting too high standards for self or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kevin, 1 through 100.
27.
27. If you could instantly be an expert in any subject, what would that subject be?
If I could instantly be an expert in any subject, what would that subject be? You know, I'd really like to study more race, class, and gender. Only because I learned a lot of things about some of the stuff I spoke earlier on discrimination and, like, you know, real truths behind racism, and like also like real deep rooted pain, and like maybe history, like the history of all that stuff, like where that all comes from, so I can better understand how to not be stuck in a world where I'm like, because one of the ways that we get rid of these deep-rooted problems that we're having in society that seem like a big issue would be to like understand where they came from and why they are the way they are, you know, and so that we can like move forward. Because at the end of the day, I think it's really important to take the blame out of stuff and maybe like put some education into it. And I think it would be cool to like get out and be able to say that, because like no matter where you go, and especially in recovery and at work and in places like this, like fishbowl of Minneapolis, which is like quite the diverse population of this, that, and the other, like some things people don't understand sometimes. They're like, they're being racist against me, but like that's a complicated thing to say, because that really is only like one directional.
Yeah.
And so like what people are missing is that like I think it's important to like recognize like where all that came from and like what that means. And like at the end of the day, no one really says this a lot, but we've been discriminating against women since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And like it's not really talked about a whole lot, where, you know, this, that, and the other. But like some way or another, I think it's I don't know, I guess maybe like some sort of study on like what it looks like to all come together and like be in harmony. I don't know.
No, that'd be the day. Let's do one more round of numbers. Jess, pick a number 1 through 100.
72.
72. What is your favorite TV show? Do you have one?
I don't know that I do. You know, I used to really like MASH or Big Bang Theory.
4077.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know this. Really?
Yeah, I used to really like it.
Oh, we're gonna bang out some MASH. I love MASH. I grew up. My dad and mom loved. We watched MASH like.
that or Gilligan's Island. You know, I used to really like
Here on Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
There was a professor, Marianne, the Skipper, Gilligan, Ginger, and who's the last one? The Thorntons. Come on. Who are they?
Why am I can't think.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking. The husband and wife.
Yeah.
The only one who's really guaranteed to be on there getting some. All right. So, Kevin, pick a number 1 through 100. Yeah, I'm thinking February. I want to have you back. That gives us about 3 months.
44, no problem.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm already thinking about some things. The zombie apocalypse is coming. Who do you want with you? Living or dead? Famous or not famous?
Who do I want with me for the zombie apocalypse?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know? I would take my family, because I do love my family. They're amazing.
I've never looked at the question this way. You're talking about, I've always heard the question is like, all right, we're going to fight some zombies and shit. Who do I want with me? And
my brothers are dangerous. I'm not.
You're saying it from a place of we're going to keep. I want my family to be safe.
I'm the
with
short,
me.
small one. I have 2 brothers that are 6'5", and my older brother is undefeated. And when I say undefeated, I mean he's undefeated. There is nobody, I think, that's like, I've watched him jump over a table, grab the 357 out of somebody's hand and smash dudes, do all sorts of, he's just dangerous. And so like, I don't know. But out here, oh man, the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I gotta veer that question differently. Like, who are you gonna take with you to fight in the zombie apocalypse, or who are you gonna take
5
with
of the
save?
best drug counselors I can find. And when I say that, I mean like the most harm reduction, kind, you know, educated and willing to be patient, because we are in the zombie apocalypse, guys. Like, don't let anyone tell you anything different. And
You've been in Portland, so I know you've seen it.
And remember this: what we're dealing with today is worse than what they try to portray on TV and books.
It's worse.
It's worse. It's worse because you don't know it's happening like that. Everyone isn't like afraid of it like this, that, and the other. And everyone says it'd never affect me, but like at the end of the day, we don't know who it's going to affect.
Right.
And everyone, it touches everyone. And like, I hear that used I've watched it so much. And like, one of the things that we talked about in peer recovery specialist training was that, like, not to make fun of people that are doing their worst, because like that speaks a lot about who you are and in your recovery and also in your professional world, and so like there's a part of me that's like, damn, that goes on one, but there's also another part of me that wants to recognize that that person is sick. And the one thing that's amazing about this being a zombie apocalypse is that there is a cure, and that cure, that it is possible. And like with the zombie apocalypse, there's never a cure. You're just killing half dead things that might be your family or like friends of yours or your girlfriend. And that's like really sad. And like that's kind of like living in a fantasy. So like I'm gonna be real here for a second and say, like, man, like some counselors on the front line, like some of the people I know that work at Park Avenue, and some of the people I know that work at Twin Town, or like some of my buddies from school that are out there right now doing things in like some of these really, really hardcore places that everyone says is hardcore, but at the end of the day, that's where the front lines of the fight is happening.
Yeah. All right. So the name of this show is Attitude for Gratitude. Jessica, tell me about your gratitude.
Oh, my gratitude today. Geez. Well, I'm grateful for my puppy. I'm grateful for my home, my beautiful little apartment that I made myself. My job. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for my my sobriety and my faith. Yeah, I'm grateful for community.
Grateful for Harper.
Yeah.
Kevin, name of the show is Attitude for Gratitude. What's gratitude look like?
I've been told that I have radical positivity, which I also was told that isn't a thing, which was really funny to hear somebody say that you have radical positive. You're so positive. It's annoying. Somebody said, but good attitude and gratitude about everything is so important. I always thank all the cooks at the places where they give out things and they invest their times on the holidays, like I always stop and like be real genuine with people. I'm like, thank you for your service, which at the end of the day, we say that to a lot of people, but like, these are all soldiers, even though they're not recognized for that. Just like people in recovery, when we say, thank you for your service, we're like, man, you're a soldier. And what you've been through is just as crazy as real war. And so like, man, just being able to like recognize, I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for you guys showing me what a healthy relationship could look like. I don't know for sure, but I will say that it looks good from here. And gosh, I'm grateful for the ability to still have a brain that functions after 29 years of heavy drug use. I'm grateful for a family that talks to me today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to help people. And I'm grateful for all the help from the people that help me. And I'm also grateful for the struggle from the people that think that they don't help me when they may not realize that is like such a big deal. Is that like without that struggle, I have nothing. And I'm grateful that Tim's going to let me play a song that I've never played for anyone anywhere, except for like maybe some of my friends that have known me.
All right. So then with that said,
but we need a 3.5mm jack. A headphone jack. So like, can we do it? Like a mic to like Bluetooth it or something?
You mean for what? To have a speaker?
No, to like into the system. Like
no, this one
there's no headphone jack.
No, not like you think, because I have it. I can't do it. If I
what about a little speaker?
I have that right there, my Bluetooth speaker. Right, that yep. You just got to pair it up. Yeah, sorry if you told me. Go ahead, let it fall. You're good. If I'd have known ahead of time, we could have done something. But I have this jacked in because of this camera. While he's doing that, I'm gonna kind of do some wrap up stuff because we're gonna end the show with Kevin's. You are doing a rap tonight?
I'm gonna play a beat that I made. It's called Shopping Cart Tarps, and I made it when I was in a shopping cart and a tarp
Yeah,
in Portland.
when he was in the
And
jungle.
and, you know, it's something I don't get to play for people.
No, it's all good. So you just let me know when you're ready. I'm gonna do a quick outro and then we're gonna end the show with you.
Ooh, this worked.
Jess, if you could have any superpower, what would your superpower be?
Ooh, I'd want to read people's minds, or I'd want to fly.
Fly or mind read? Kevin, any superpower, what would it be?
We have a superpower. We get to be humble and help people without always looking for something for ourselves. But I mean, everyone
We're
has a
doing fantasy
superpower.
stuff.
Everyone has a superpower that's in recovery. They just haven't figured out what it is sometimes. And most of you don't even realize how powerful your superpowers are.
I like that though.
Yeah.
All right, so hey everybody,
Are we ready?
this
Are we ready?
no,
Okay.
I'm gonna do a little outro and then we're gonna end with you doing this because I put the camera back on me first time in a while. Don't be a salty bitch. Pop, pop, pop.
I like that.
If you're struggling tonight, please reach out. My number's been going across the bottom, but don't count on that. Call Intergroup, or if you're having some self-harm thoughts, down 988. Please, you are worth this life for recovery. You're hearing us talk about. Come on down to We'll Work for Recovery, 4026 Washington Avenue North. Every day of the week, every morning, we got a 6:30 a.m. structured meeting. They're starting a new GA meeting, Gambling Anonymous, next Saturday. We got the walk and talk on Saturdays. We got a new Sunday evening meeting. Every night of the week, there's a 7 p.m. meeting. Tuesdays is an Indigenous people meeting, Wellbriety meeting. Thursday night's more of a spiritual meeting with more intimacy. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's a huge meeting down here. We got pooled ping pong tables and foosball tables. We got a full workout gym. We got little prayer rooms. We got the big room with the big projector. And after this, we're going to go to karaoke and listen to some people sing sober, clean, fun type stuff. But again, if you are struggling, please reach out. You're worth this life. All right, now, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on tonight, and we'll have you back in February. Jess, thanks for sitting in on the show. Really appreciate you on this. And now
I want to say to Jess too, sorry, Jess, sometimes I'm really powerful when it comes to demanding attention, which is another reason why I'm not looking for a girlfriend sometimes, is because I already know how much my iPad I am.
What are you talking about, bro? You don't know apologies.
No, it's okay.
Are you ready?
You are cameras on.
I'm just gonna
you.
say I wrote this song while I was on the streets and I was under a shopping cart with a tarp, and all I had was a microphone splitter, one of these microphones and headphones, and a music program, and I made the beats, and it kind of meant a lot to me. And I didn't know this until after, but it speaks out to how it was calling to my recovery while I was still using.
The light that lives a life I can't believe, because the truth comes out and naked lies be dressed up in excuses and played. The only hope for us as a people is what makes us all come out together and learn how to change from our mistakes, making changes in our lives, and look at what we give and take. Tomorrow was a blessing, yesterday was a lesson, today I keep me guessing. I'm not stressing over who's living or not living. I can't always be looking for my next fix. I would give anything to lose my regrets. Does it cost a lot for you focusing on the things that you think are cool, living a life that's true, doing you do what you do? I came out knowing that my mind is open. What the cost I've lived my life at the edge of the knife, holding dreams in my hand like it was the last dollar. I tell myself in the morning, man, forget the fear. Whether or not it's clear when you believe in yourself, we're in this together, one people. The way I changed is destroy old beliefs. If you mention the negative, I pay no attention. Obligated myself to a true believer in self. No matter what corral I was handed, the ordeal. I think clear, everybody wants to lose. Take it or lose it, use it or forgive it. I forgive and I forget. I can't move on. I'm stuck in the past, and the only way to change is my own mind. Stuck in the past is to break it, the mold, and beliefs to change and lose it. I motherfucking knew it. I can't believe it. I'm already here and I can't do it one day. Because tomorrow's a blessing. Yesterday was a lesson. I keep myself guessing, not even stressing whether or not I get caught up or don't change. I message, I live on the streets and I got nothing. I never look back at my friends and think, this is your fault. I've been living a lie for so many years. Tonight's the night I woke up, locked myself out of the door of freedom I don't believe in. So walking across this land and looking for hope, telling people you can do whatever you want. Lost dreams and hope was nice in between the whiskey shots and doing crystal meth in the bushes, forgetting what it wishes to turn the dreams to everybody else. It seems like the truth is so carefulness. I wish do what everybody else seems like the truth is hopefulness. I do wish good on every human, and that is the reason people can change. Otherwise, go back to sleep and keep wasting your life. You're worth, or maybe just when you're worthless. You're not that fucking worthless. Everyone knows you're not that worthless. Why we sat here telling you you're not that worthless. When darkness prevails and the light lives the life I can't believe, because tomorrow the truth can come out naked, but we have to live our lives dressed in excuses and play. I only hope I have for my people is that we all come out together and learn to change from our mistakes. Make the changes with our lives. Look at what we give and take. Tomorrow's a blessing. Yesterday was a lesson. Today I keep them guessing. Tonight I'm not stressing over who's living alive. I can't always be looking for myself. My next fix. I would give anything to lose my regrets. Does it cost a lot for you? Focusing on what you think is cool when you living alive. It's true, and you do what you do because you do what you do. I came up knowing my mind is open and what it costs in my life. On the edge of this night, holding my dreams in my hand like it was my last dollar. I tell myself in the morning, man, I think clearer. You got to let go fear, whether or not you believe in yourself. We are in this together, one people. It is the way I change or destroy my old beliefs. If you mention the negative, I pay no attention. Obligated myself as a true believer in self. No matter the cards I was dealt, in order to think clear, everybody wants to lose it.
Thank you guys. Thanks everybody out there. Kevin,
Oh,
you're amazing, bro. Thank you for sharing some experience, strength, hope. Looking forward to having you back in February. Again, if you're out there struggling, please, please, please reach out. If no one reminded you today, like you're worth this life for recovery and you are loved. Till next week. Bye, Z's. Talk to you guys next year. I'll see you next year.